Hi, it's John from North Star Nursery, Garden and Home, your coastal gardener. Today's subject is kind of an obscure one because we're talking about salvias and it's raining out. And it was 37 degrees the other day, so contrary to what you might be thinking, we're going to talk about salvias today. The reason we're going to talk about salvias is that we have a lot of customers that come in this time of year and they want to know how to prune salvias. And so there's a few rules, and I feel like I've been saying it a lot, so I wanted to kind of tell everybody so that that knowledge could kind of get out there, because I think that it's something that is unique to me. I don't think that there's a lot of people that hold this thought process. Anybody who grows plants for a living might, though. So salvias in general in our area do very, very well. Most of you are familiar with the traditional Mexican sage. This is the purple and white. They get very, very big, and eventually they're kind of like a bamboo in the sense that they kind of clump and run. They don't like run out and pop up like a bamboo does, but they clump, and so they make a big mass. Usually the root mass is about 2 feet across, and it's a solid mat, and it's awesome because they bloom and the hummingbirds love them, and they bloom all the way until the first frost. But many, many, many of the salvias are late season bloomers here on the coast. So when I say late season bloomers, for people in the valley, they're blooming kind of almost in April or May. For us, it's more like June, July, August, and then they're really going to town in September and October. So that is just the traditional Mexican sage. Now, what I want to talk about is pruning. So Mexican sage, if it was in the ground for multiple years, I would say in the winter when it gets ugly looking to go ahead and cut it down to the ground. And that could be the case for a lot of the salvias. You can cut them down to short nubs. The Mexican sage does best from a hard prune so that it regenerates. The stems are more rigid, the flower structure is better, so you want to actually cut it to the ground. Here's the caveat. If you have recently planted any of these salvias in the last 6 months, the last year basically, you do not want to prune them. The reason you do not want to prune them is that these are young plants. And because even though this doesn't look like a young plant, this is its second year. And so it's still very tender, you might say, when it comes to frost. So what we want to do is on any newly planted salvias, we want to wait until threat of frost is done. Threat of frost is usually not finished until April 15th, oddly enough. And so after that period, you could then go through and prune accordingly. Now, again, on the Mexican sage, hard, to the ground, not a problem. The other salvias, there's a lot of these newer salvias. This is Salvia Skyscraper Pink. There's also Skyscraper, this is Ember's Wish. Really pretty orangey color. There's another orange one that is Skyscraper Orange. I don't think I have any right now. And then there's this guy over here, which is another. This, I think, was actually the parentage. Stay there, salvias. This guy is Wendy's Wish. This was what they hybridized to get to these guys in the different colors. These have a tendency to be frost tender. So what I'm doing at my house is just minimal cleanup. So if I have spent flowers on mine right now, I'm just getting rid of the spent flowers and leaving it at that. I'm still leaving the foliage. I'm not cutting anything down really hard. I'm just getting rid of spent flowers so that it doesn't look so ugly. Now, Once the frost hits, this top section might still get damaged. So these leaves could die. So we know that going into it. It's really important for you to know this, that you are going to have damage after frost. It doesn't happen quickly, it happens over a period of time. So the frost happens, the cells expand and burst, and then the leaves die off. So you want to wait to do any pruning again until the later after April 15th. Because what's probably going to happen is these two top nodes up here are probably going to end up frosting down. Now, if in the middle of the season you decided, oh, I'm going to clean it up again because I don't like the way that looks, this damaged material up here is actually going to insulate the material below. Frost settles from up high down low. It doesn't blow in, it doesn't move around, it settles. And so as frost settles, it does the damage that it's going to do, and then that material stays and insulates the material below. So you want to wait, especially on all of these really weird hybrids, until later in the spring, and also if they're newly planted this year, okay? Salvias in pots can be even a little bit more susceptible to frost because that container, they don't have the benefit of the ground and the heat kind of rising. So sometimes in pots you'll have a even further dieback. Don't panic, okay? What you want to do is go ahead and after April 15th, go ahead and cut back to what you think is viable and then start fertilizing. So you can start using things like the rose and flower food when we get into the warm season, or Sure Start if you have it. I always say something is better than nothing. So start fertilizing early in the season to push that new growth, see where you are, and then cut back accordingly. Now, probably after 3 years, I would say I could probably cut this variety back after it's been in the ground for 3 years to probably about 6 or 8 inches. I still wouldn't want to cut it down really low. So just know that. Some of these varieties, they even look tender, so you can kind of tell. So that's these guys. This is the quintessential Mystic Spire salvia. This thing is just a beast. It blooms like crazy, does a really, really great job in our area. It actually blooms really well in the warmer climates too. So if you're in the Sacramento area, this does very, very well. It mounds out to about 2 feet, and then the flowers spike above that. So again, newly planted. I just planted about, 10 or 12 of these in our garden this year. So I'm leaving them alone completely, and I'm going to prune them in April when it's a little bit warmer. And right now they're blooming, and they could continue to bloom all the way through until February, March, or April, depending on our weather. If it's really cold, then they might not be. This is Salvia uliginosa. It's actually one of my favorite sages. This is really great because it is drought tolerant and it's a bog sage. So it actually doesn't mind being sitting in water. And so I did this when I had a pond. I had it in a pot actually sitting in the pond. This one, again, first or second year, I would say leave it be. Third, fourth, and fifth year, you could go ahead and cut it down to about 2 to 3 inches in the winter. This guy, it's kind of scary. I'm not sure if I should show you this, but I'm going to because it's funny. So I'm not sure if you can see this stem right here. It's actually going into the ground. I don't know if you can see that. So it came up and it's going into the ground and running. This is also doing the same thing. These will spread out quite a bit. And these do, they can be a little bit on the borderline of slightly invasive. But what I would say is a shovel prune is all it takes. Just take a shovel around the edge of it and just cut out the stuff that you don't want. But Salvia uliginosa, really, really great. This salvia is a really neat one, and it's part of the problem with the salvias is that a lot of them are available later in the season, not earlier in the season, because they love the heat. This one is called Limelight. And so this one has this really pretty blue, and then the calyx is supposed to be kind of a limey color. This is a juvenile, so it's not quite doing what it should be doing, but this is another one that's very tender. So in our area, you'd want to leave it again until that April 15th time frame. This guy is a beast. Look at the blue on that. That is just stunning. So if you like that deep, deep, deep blue, that true blue, this is Salvia, and it's called Blue Note. It tops out about 4 to 5 feet. It can get quite large, and the blooms spike up above that. So definitely something for the back of the garden. But you can see this guy is not at all affected by the weather we're having. It might end up, again, having the flowers kind of die back, but the foliage will probably stay there. In the spring, I will probably cut it back really hard because I like it to regenerate from the base and get nice and full. So that is it for the salvias and kind of winter handling or pruning or not pruning. I hope you guys are having a great day, and it's kind of rainy out, so maybe come in and check out the Christmas shop because we're all done decorating and there's a lot to see. So we look forward to seeing you at the nursery. Have a great day.